In this example, it's asked us to first draw the graph of this function, and we can do that simply by doing the same thing that we did before, by generating coordinates using this sort of system. And it hasn't told us in the question, but we really should do it between -6 and 3. And in an exam, or a test, they would tell you what values to choose here, because you'll be expected to put it onto a graph like this. And by generating all of these different coordinates and joining them together, we'll see that it looks something like this. And then it says use the graph to solve the inequality, this. Now notice that that part there is exactly the same as what we've just graphed. So what we're actually saying is, where is the graph? Read this as the graph. Where is the graph greater than 0? And the graph is greater than 0 where it's positive. So it's going to be this section here and this section here. It's going to be up all the way that way and all the way that way. But it's going to stop at these 2 points. And the values that we're looking for are the x values where this is the case. So the x values where the graph is shooting over here, that's going to be where x is less than -5. So we'd write that like this: x is less than -5. That's going to be this part here. And if I did the other part in red, let's say, this part there, that would be where x is greater than 2. So that would be written x is greater than 2. But notice actually in the question it's got greater than or equal to 0. So where it's greater than or equal to 0 will be actually where it's 2 as well. So we need to include the value 2 by putting a little equal sign under that, and then it would be the same for the green. In the next example, it's asked us to solve this inequality, where some crazy function that we'll no doubt have to draw is less than 0. And if we draw it, it'll look like this. And we really should do this by doing the same thing as before with the x and y's. And after getting those coordinates and plotting them, we'll see that it looks like this. But where is this graph? Where is this graph less than 0? It's less than 0 here. Less than 0 would mean where is the graph negative, and that's that section. And the graph is doing this thing between 0 and 6. But because it's not equal, it doesn't have to equal 0 as well. When we write our inequality, we're going to pretty much copy this symbol here, and we're going to write that it's going to be between 0 and 6, and x lies in the middle, and it's going to do these 2 things like that. Which means that 0 is less than all the x values. This value 0 is less than all of these x values here, and 6 is greater than all of the x values, which is written like this. And we can put them both together like this. So if we've got one part of the graph which works, we get one inequality like this. But if there are 2 parts of the graph like we had in the previous example, we would write 2 separate inequalities, because it's 2 separate regions. So we would have just 2 different inequalities. Whereas below in this one, because there's only one part of the region that works, we only have one inequality. Okay, in the third example then, and the final one before we start, solve the inequality, this thing. And this function here can be drawn using the same old trick as before, without x and y's. Generate some coordinates, plot them on the grid like this, and then say, where is the graph positive? And it's positive in this section here. And I'm only highlighting one section of the graph, so I'm only going to have one inequality. And the inequality will be between -5 and 5. So it's -5 and 5. But what symbols do I use here? I use the same one as I've got there. And that's it. that is solved the inequality.